It was one of the most electrifying nights in tennis history. The stadium lights of Flushing Meadows were blazing, the air thick with anticipation, and millions of fans around the world were glued to their screens. Carlos Alcaraz, the young sensation from Spain, had battled his way through an intense and grueling US Open final against Jannik Sinner, a rivalry that had been building all year. Every point mattered. Every serve, every return, every swing of the racket was a heartbeat of tension that kept fans on the edge of their seats, and then it happened. Alcaraz clinched the match, the score finally sealed, the moment that players dream about since they first pick up a tennis racket. The crowd erupted into a roar that seemed to shake the very foundation of the stadium. Fans leaped out of their seats, some with tears streaming down their faces, others with fists pumping in sheer euphoria. The young Spaniard had made history, not just winning the US Open, but dominating it in a way that announced to the world that a new era of tennis greatness had arrived. As Alcaraz dropped to his knees, overcome with emotion, the cameras did what they always do, they caught every reaction, every moment, every expression. And that's when the world saw something unforgettable. In the VIP section, where cameras often capture dignitaries and celebrities, sat former President Donald Trump. And his reaction, or perhaps more accurately, his lack of reaction, became an instant sensation. Trump's expression was flat, almost blank. While the stadium around him shook with excitement, he remained seated, seemingly unimpressed, arms crossed in quiet detachment. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of the moment were being shared, liked, and commented on by millions. Memes began circulating immediately, some humorous, some critical, all highlighting the stark contrast between the energy of Alcaraz's victory and Trump's unusually muted demeanor. The world couldn't help but notice. Fans joked, commentators speculated, and the internet had a field day. "Trump can't even pretend to clap," one viral post read. "Someone tell him Alcaraz isn't Mexican," another joked, highlighting the absurdity of the moment. Even in the midst of an extraordinary sporting achievement, one man's expression had somehow captured global attention. And the conversation didn't stop there. Analysts and social media users dissected every angle. Was it indifference? Was it disappointment that the player he might have been rooting for didn't win? Or was it simply a personality that thrives on being in control of the moment, now confronted with a young star stealing the spotlight? Meanwhile, Alcaraz was the embodiment of pure joy and humility. Surrounded by fans, cameras, and reporters, he lifted the US Open trophy with an infectious smile. There was no arrogance in his triumph, only gratitude, focus, and a clear acknowledgement of the magnitude of what he had accomplished. He celebrated not just for himself, but for his family, his team, and a generation of tennis fans who had been following his rise with admiration and anticipation. The contrast between Alcaraz's joy and Trump's flat reaction became a global talking point. Outlets reported on it as if it were its own sub-event within the final. Clips were replayed endlessly on news channels, discussed in sports programs, and debated across social media platforms. "Is this the most awkward reaction to a major sports victory in history?" one commentator asked. "Or is it a classic Trump moment?" questioned another. Memes exploded, hashtags trended, and the story spread across continents almost faster than the match itself had. But it wasn't just about humor. There was a subtle, almost cinematic drama in the moment. It highlighted the power of sports to elicit pure, unfiltered emotion. Alcaraz's victory represented hope, dedication, and the triumph of youth and talent. Trump's reaction, whether intentional or instinctive, became a mirror reflecting the human tendency to respond in unexpected ways to moments of greatness. It was a reminder that history is not just made on the court, but also in the reactions, the emotions, and the narratives that follow. The reactions kept coming. Fans in the stadium recreated the moment online, mimicking the flat stare in photos, videos,
not only
and
won the
animated
match,
GIFs.
but also won everyone's hearts.
Social media was
Friends,
flooded with
what do
comments
you think
mixing
about this
shock,
moment?
humor, and admiration for Alcaraz. Some criticized Trump, while others defended him, saying, maybe he's just not a sports person, or, he's probably respecting the players in his own way. Regardless of interpretation, one thing was undeniable: the moment had captured global attention, and Alcaraz's victory had transcended the sport itself, becoming part of popular culture. Even other sports legends weighed in. Comments poured in from tennis icons and former champions praising Alcaraz's incredible performance and pointing out the significance of the moment in tennis history. Yet, almost every discussion looped back to that viral reaction, how one flat expression in the VIP section contrasted so sharply with the triumph, joy, and elation on the court. It was a moment that would be replayed for years, a cultural snapshot frozen in time that combined politics, celebrity, and the unifying power of sport. And beyond the laughter, the memes, and the debates, there was a deeper story. Alcaraz's victory signified the rise of a new champion, someone who had trained, fought, and persevered through countless challenges to reach the pinnacle of tennis. The world watched, inspired not only by his skill but by his composure and character. While reactions vary, the story of his win remained undeniable. A young man from Spain had claimed his place among tennis legends, earning admiration from fans and players alike. As the crowd slowly dispersed that night, the stadium lights dimmed, and the echoes of cheers faded, one thing was clear. The 2025 US Open final would be remembered not just for the match itself, but for the juxtaposition of emotions it captured. Carlos Alcaraz's brilliance and joy contrasted with a singular, unforgettable reaction that sparked global conversation. It was a reminder of why sports are more than games, they are mirrors of humanity, arenas of emotion, and stages for unforgettable moments that transcend borders, politics, and expectation. In the end, Alcaraz lifted his trophy high, a symbol of victory and inspiration. The world had watched him, celebrated him, and in a single night, witnessed history. And while one viral expression might have drawn laughter, curiosity, and endless speculation, it only highlighted the magnitude of the triumph it accompanied. The young Spaniard's journey had reached a new peak, a moment that would be replayed for generations, remembered not just for the score, but for the drama, the emotion, and the unmistakable brilliance of a champion. And that's the story of how Carlos Alcaraz's historic US Open victory didn't just make headlines, it became a global phenomenon, a viral sensation, and a testament to the power of human emotion, all captured in a single, unforgettable night.